All right, hey guys, Jason here. What we're going to be talking about today is camp heat options. I run two different tents. I run a big wall tent, and then I also run the Kodiak canvas tent. I'm also spending some time in campgrounds and sometimes where I don't have, campgrounds where I have electricity, other times I do not. So we're going to give you some options here, and we're going to give the highlights and lowlights of these kind of things because I've used everything basically here with the exception of this little guy here, which is going to be pretty interesting. So what we got here in a big wall tent, in a massive size wall tent like my 12 by 14 wall tent, you need something that's got some power to heat it. Propane is really your only way to be able to do that. I thought about diesel heaters, but honestly, diesel heaters, from everything I've read, they are smelly. I got to also then carry another gas can, another can full of diesel that I got to bring with me on there to deal with that, and the odor factor, and then the setup. And then diesel heaters also require a power source that will not run a diesel heater for very long without being charged. You can't just run it on diesel. You need something electricity to blow the mower or to run the blower in it and do that kind of stuff and all the electronics. So, and then you got to set up the exhaust side. You got to put the thing together. Then you got to run the vent in and put it in. I don't want to mess with that. I really don't. So I'm not a fan of that. And it also takes a while for them to heat up. So I got different ideas. So tried and true and new are all on this table. So let's take a look at them. First of all, in that big wall tent, running a 20-pound tank, a barbecue tank of that stuff. This one right here, okay, this 360 heater screams. I have never in 5 years that I've owned this put this thing on anything higher than the low setting. Never once. And even on there, you turn it on, you leave it on for like 10 minutes, you turn it off for 20 minutes, you turn it on for 10 minutes, but it'll roast you out of there, and you're not going to sleep with this on. Okay, this is an outdoor heater. This thing, because of the power of it, is going to put out your carbon monoxide, things like that. I mean, to have it running for a little while you're up is one thing. I would not fall asleep with this on. I did by accident one time this year in camp, and I was drying clothes, had laundry going. I'm like, I'm going to give it another half hour, and I ended up falling asleep with this on low. I woke up the next morning with the worst headache you could ever imagine, groggy. It was not good. Okay, not good. Normally, I have a carbon monoxide detector I take with me, but I don't know where it is. When we moved to Georgia, I don't know where I put it at and haven't bought a new one. But these are fantastic at heating big spaces, garages, any of that kind of stuff. Again, just don't fall asleep with it on. You're not going to want to be in an enclosed place with this thing going for 8 hours. So, but this has by far been the best, especially when we hit those cold temps. You get a 15 or 20 degree temperature, this will allow you to shower in your tent comfortably. This will do everything that you want. It'll keep you way warm in there. So it does a fantastic job. However, propane heat is a moisture type heat. It gives off moisture. So you got to take that into consideration too. But this thing here, and especially because of its affordable price, I don't know what they are, 60, 80 bucks. I've had this one many years, but they are flawless. Okay, something like this works great. I'm not going to go through all the specs on each one of these and cover all that stuff. That's all. You can look up whichever one you want, but this is a standard 360 heater, and it sits right on top of the tank, just like this on a tank. And then it plugs in and you're good to go. So there it is, but fantastic option. We're gonna move this out of the way for right now. But that heater, flawless. Now, the other propane option, two more of them. One is this little dude right here, which I have had now for 15 years, this little Mr. Buddy. 15 years of this little gem. It serves multiple purposes. I'm actually turning this around because it's only 40 degrees in here. It's heating the garage up pretty good in here, but it's on. But freezing, hands are freezing here. But this one here doubles as a heater in this position, runs on a 1-pound propane tank, and it flips up this way, and you can actually, had a grate that was on there at one time that got all broke up, but where you could actually cook on it as well too. So it served multiple purpose. This thing is a little beast of a heater. This thing screams. This is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. However, it goes through a lot of tanks. It burns through you'll burn through a 1-pound propane tank every 2 hours or whatever it is. But what I primarily use this for is in that wall tent. What I would do with this is I would leave this sitting on the floor next to me, and I would light this up then boom, hit this thing and get it going so that it would heat me up and heat everything up quick in the morning and just get the job done really fast. So since I've been using that one, that big one you just seen, I don't use this a whole lot, but this was a game changer, lifesaver for that kind of thing. And these are dirt cheap too. They're like $39 or whatever they are. They're not expensive. It's fantastic. It comes apart real easy for storage to be able to put it in wherever you're taking this thing and taking it with you. But I mean, it's a awesome little heater that I don't ever not have this with me. This is always in my trailer because there's just this, it's like the perfect compact backup size in case something else were to go down, or if I need more heat, this will work for a great job. So it's a great heater. I love this heater. These two, that one you just saw and this one, by far my favorite heaters. They work excellent. So we're gonna set that one over there, somewhere here. Now, the last propane one we have on the table here is our, let's turn this a little bit here, is the Mr. Buddy heater. If you get one of these big milk crates, okay, these double-sized milk crates here like this, these bigger ones, a Mr. Buddy heater, the hose and everything fits right in here. So what I do with this is I have my hose. People think you have to have a regulator on a hose on these. You do not on the standard Mr. Buddies because they already have regulators on each one of their socket sizes. So then we got this little heater here, which we are testing that. But when I pull this out of here, okay, inside of here when we open this, there's already regulators right here. These are regulators on both sides. So you already have the regulators. You can run this on two 1-pound tanks, one on each side, or you can hook up your hose, and that's what I do. I run it to a 20-pound hose, just let this stick right outside of my door. Now this heater is the one I use in my Kodiak canvas the most. I got low, medium, and high. I barely ever have to come off of low. I hook it to a 20-pound tank, and it gets you through a very long time. This one is indoor safe. You could sleep with it in there, especially if it's a canvas tent where it breathes well. You probably wouldn't have any problems. This is the ultimate anything but wall tent size. Anything smaller than a wall tent like that, this thing screams and does a fantastic job. And even when the nights get cold, you turn that thing up on high, it's going to do its job. So that is a fantastic option. This heater has its own little clip that came with it. Okay, I bought this heater, or this fan, and it's got this little snap-on clip right here, which then takes this fan and puts it on here, and it mounts it right here like that. And now, oh, hang on, too far. There we go. Okay, and now that fan sits right on there, and as this heats up, that heat will get this fan blade going and push that air out rather than letting it just come up. So, and they work pretty good from what I'm hearing. I have not ran that on here yet. I will be testing it in 2 weeks when I go to Alabama. But that's what that's supposed to do, project that heat out for us. So this is a fantastic option. This is like the ultimate tent heater system for backcountry kind of stuff, for that sort of thing. And then what I do in the wall tent that has a floor, or the Kodiak canvas with a floor, I take the case that I carry this in, I flip that upside down like this in my tent, and I put this on top of it so that there's no chance of burning the floor, no chance to tip over, and it just serves that purpose right there. So this is how that is in the actual tent. When I'm done, I take this, flip it over, it fits right back in here, snug as a bug and perfect, with enough room to fit the hose, to tuck that hose in there, have that hose in. Look at this going already from the heat coming out of that. Look at that. Like I said, I have not ever used this thing yet. That's going already based on the heat that's coming out of this little heater is what's sending that, making that go. Just the heat coming out of that little heater. Look at that thing go. Ha! And it's actually overpowering the fan coming out of the heater. That thing is sweet. I'm excited to use that on there because it needs no power. This thing 100% runs on heat is what makes this thing drive. So we got really high hopes for this setup right here and what we can do with this. This will actually tuck in here when I take it. Can't remember how I fit it in there, but I got it in there one way that I liked. Either way, we'll figure that out. But I also have the box I could just put it in. But I'm excited for this little fan on top of this. This thing gives a lot of heat, but it goes up. Having something that'll direct that heat down is a fantastic idea. Also brings us to this. Okay, Jesse Johnson turned me onto this thing. They are dirt cheap online. on Amazon. Okay, this is the Gala Top. But this little fan right here, this thing screams. 1, 2, and 3. And I like it so much that I bought 3 of them. Okay, I have one on my desk. I have this one that I use for when I'm working. And we have this one here that stays in camp. Runs for a long time, and it's really cheap and easy to charge. And it also has a hanger where you can hang it and roll it and do whatever you want to direct that heat back down again. So love this little fan setup here. This goes with me everywhere for any heater I'm going to run. So we have that feature. We have this one. We're going to move this out of the way here for a second so we can talk about this stuff. Now, what do we got here? Couple of options. First one, we're going to go with this guy right here. Okay, this is the Drio heater right here. Let me get the cord up here for, well, let me, actually I want it plugged in so I can show you this. Hold on, grabbing it, there we go. But this is a Drio heater. It's got high reviews. It does a fantastic job. Now, what's nice, notice this has been on and I can touch this, okay? This is ceramic heater. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna hurt you if it tips over. It does come with its own remote right here, which is nice, and it sits right in there. But I can turn that on. Okay, and then I can also with this, does that say H3? Yep, that's high. And you got modes. Okay, H2 for medium, H1 for low. You got timers on this thing. You got everything you want. All the controls are also up here on the top. And see this? It's got oscillation. So if you got 2 guys sleeping in camp, one here and one here, this oscillates and will keep both people warm and sending that heat out there. And it's got a pretty good blower on it, sending out some air. So this thing does a fantastic job too when you are at a campground that has power. Okay, so when you're at a camp, because this thing's a 1500 watt heater, let that sink in. You can buy, it's a big misnomer on heaters. They're like, oh, this one here, this one will heat 900 square feet. Then the one next to it will heat 1200 square feet. And the next one will heat, electric heater will heat 1500 square feet. BS. They're all 1500 watts. And actually, these littler ones put out more heat than the bigger ones. Don't pay attention to what it says on the box. They're still 1500 watts, 5000 BTUs. That's the most you can get out of it. It's 1500 watt heater. So don't be fooled by that. They're all putting out the same kind of power. But this one, nice and compact, oscillating, affordable at like 39 bucks. And when you're in a campground where you actually have power to plug into, you can plug this in and let it run all night. And this thing will heat up my little, my 10 by 10 Kodiak canvas tent very comfortably. Till you start getting pretty cold. You start getting into the 20s, you're going to feel it, but it's going to do a good job and it's going to run very well for you. So this is a great option for a camp setup on there to be able to do this. I like this little heater. This is my second one of these. And if you're in camp where you have power, or you want to run it even on a generator for a little while you're charging things, this is a pretty brilliant, setup for the money. And like I said, pumping out some serious heat in there. I'm going to make sure we stop this. Okay, but this thing, actually I want that perfect on the base so that I can put it back away and fit it back in there. Hold on. Come on, roll around. But the oscillating feature, very nice. There we go, right there. And so there it is, and we hit the power button right there, and then this just fits right into the handle. Just, whoop, did I hit shutdown on H3? One off. There we go. Takes 30 seconds for it to shut down, as you can see happening on there. But that's a great heater for a camp setup, okay, inside where you have power. The next option is a little more simpler. We're going to let that tone down. Now you can use this setup, but what we have here is this little guy, this little heater right here, this little My Heater. It's a simple little 200 watt heater. Okay, that's the key, is that it's 200 watts and it has a fan in it. As soon as this shuts off, I'll plug this in and show you. There we go. So this little heater right here is an excellent option for a specific use. Okay, it's designed as a desktop heater. Okay, but this thing's, fan's going, hang on. Here it comes, and it's blowing heat out of here. There's some heat blowing out of here pretty good out of this little guy, but it is only 200 watt heater. It's not going to heat your tent. But what you can do with this, when you have power at camp, even if you want to run that, this comes in handy for another purpose, as it does if you're in a remote place and you want to run it off of a battery. You can hook up your inverter right to this and then plug that right into your inverter, right on this side, plug right into your inverter and run this off of your battery. If you have a power station, like I have a power station coming that I'm looking forward to, should be here in another week or two, I can run that off of there. But Yeah, see, that thing puts out some pretty good heat. But what I would do with that is that would go underneath my cot. Like if my cot is laying here and here's where my head is, right in front, right at the end of my cot, under the head, I put this right there shooting straight down my cot. So this is going to heat my head and my body, and it's going to push that heat right underneath my cot and let that come up and heat me from below. And because of the cot being there, this air comes out, it hits the cot, and it just keeps going. So this is a great little one, and only 200 watts means that on something like this or on a power station, you can get a whole night out of it. Okay, and then when I come back into camp the next day, when I'm done, I use it all night. When I come back in, I can use my generator. I'm going to have a generator in camp, but I can take my generator and use that and recharge that battery or power station, whatever I need to. But this little dude right here puts out enough heat that coming in underneath you is probably going to be a game changer. So I'm pretty excited about that. And they're dirt cheap. They're like 17 bucks. 17 bucks. And like I said, this is gets very good warm air coming out of there. I'm pretty excited about this little dude. But the fact that it's 200 watts means that you're not going to struggle with nothing, okay, power-wise. These two combined, okay, are going to be fantastic. This one, when I'm camping at a place with power, this one running and heating up the inside of the tent, this one heating underneath my cot, you're comfortable in super cold temperatures. It's going to be a nice game changer, and it doesn't require any fuel. You can leave it on all night. You can dry clothes above. This one will dry clothes very well. 1500 watt heater, you'll dry some clothes with that, and this one keeps you warm. So it's a great little setup and system here for a few different ways of how you want to do your camp heat and what you want to do with it. And again, even down here in Georgia, when it's hot and I need to cool off, this fan hanging there blowing on me, this fan screams right here for 17 bucks. USB rechargeable, easy to quick to charge. It's got its own power mode on the top of this thing, which you can see right here when I kick it on. See, we're on speed 3. But this thing here, when we put it on, it's going to pop over and it'll show you the power, how much charge you got left. But this thing's cooking. Okay, so that would be a nice feature even above one of these if you want to hang it over your heat source and direct that heat blowing down like this is coming out of this and blow that heat back to your tent or to your cot. So lots of great options. There's a power outage right there. You can see the 1000%, there it is, but there's off. Like I said, lots of cool options. Of all these options, the one that interested me the least that I thought I would like the most would be the diesel heater. I actually now have zero interest in a diesel heater. The more videos I watched on it, the more things that they're doing with it, I just have no interest in messing with that stuff. These things are ultra compact. Okay, I'll have the power station and its battery going with me anyway. Stuff's already there, but I mean, even if I'm going to, like when I go to Alabama and I hunt there, I'm going to stay at a campground. Okay, it's a state park campground, but I'm going to stay there, but I have electrical hookup right there. Water and electric in that campsite. These two will be running all night when I'm there, keeping me toasty warm. In North Alabama, cold temperatures, these will do their job fantastic. We get some freak weird night that's going to get down into the teens, I will have the Mr. Buddy with me in my trailer that'll be there if I need to turn that dude on and really kick it up. So some options for you, some things to think about. Dirt cheap on these. Like I said, combined, I think they're barely 50 bucks for the two of these right there. So that's really nice. Big Buddy heater, 140 bucks, I think, for the Big Buddy. And, that fan was 25 bucks for the fan in a bracket. And then, so you got options. You got some things that you can play with. So any questions you got, put them down below. Thanks for watching.